I'm here in my greenhouse checking on my lettuce, and I'm back. I've been away for the last 4 days. I've been at an annual retreat I do with a group of guys, good friends of mine, business partners and colleagues and associates, doing what is often referred to as a mastermind group, though we don't really call it that anymore. We actually just call it a BROMANTIC getaway, and that's kind of what it is. It's just a bunch of guys who want to help each other and become better men. So that's what I was doing, and I want to share with you something that's pretty personal actually with this group, and I think it can help a lot of people. So the first time I heard about this type of thing was when I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and if any of you haven't read that book, I'd highly suggest it. They talk about how many of the great people in the world had mastermind groups where they would get together at an exclusive location with the intention of helping each other be better people, better business people, be more successful, however you define that. And so we started doing it with a bunch of friends that are in my sphere. All of our people in our group are, permaculture designers, engineers, people within that space, under that very large umbrella of sustainability, basically. Some of us are farmers and so on and so forth. And we get together every year to make ourselves better. So these meetings have been incredibly powerful for me in my life. I can honestly tell you that I wouldn't be the same person today talking to you on the camera if it weren't for this group. This group has taught me many things about myself, how I can be better and more effective and just a better human being on the planet. And some of the most heartfelt discussions, philosophically, you name it, have happened in these groups, or this group. And I have a huge amount of gratitude for this group and how much it's changed my life. And so I wanted to share with you guys today 3 things that I think are really important to do if you want to form a group like this. We don't necessarily call it a mastermind group, and we don't necessarily follow the structure that some other people do with mastermind groups. We kind of just call it a BROMANTIC getaway, because that's really what it is. So we don't have the structure like we used to. Actually, when we first started doing these, we were very rigid about it, like what we're going to talk about, how the days are going to go, and all that. Now, since we've been doing them long enough, it's kind of free flow, but we still have some structure, and I'll share that with you today. But there's 3 things I want to talk about that I think are important if you're going to form a mastermind group or a bromance group or whatever you call it, because it's certainly not exclusive to men, though it's pretty common with successful men that do this. The first of the 3 is your group itself. It's very important how you form your group, and I'll only share what I know and what I've done, and you can take what you want and leave the rest. But I find that if you are a guy, it is important to have a guy's group, a men's group. And if you're a woman, it's probably more important to have a woman's group. And the only reason I can say to that, and I know that sounds politically incorrect to say today, but I don't care. I'm not politically correct. So for men understand men's issues. And when you have a group that is going to share a lot of personal things with each other, men just understand men's issues better. And so that's as simply as I can put it. It doesn't have to be that if you don't want it to be, but that's been important for us, and it's also been a tradition with these groups. And that's just how we do it. So the fact that it's a men's group is important. The other thing that is also important that I didn't even really think about until a couple years after doing this, but I find it's important that the people in the group are all within the same relative success. And that can be however you want to define it. Whether your metrics are how much money each of you make, or how much of a spiritual guru each of you are. It doesn't matter. It's the success as you define it. But I find that's important because if you have somebody who's coming to the group that is, say, 10 years ahead of the rest of the group, they are naturally going to create more value for the group than the group is going to create for them, just because they have more wisdom, they have more insight and knowledge. And when you don't have that equal playing field, you're not going to create enough value for them. So then they're going to lose incentive to come to the group. Because then you're going to end up with sort of a teacher and apprentice dynamic, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's very important, but it's not what this group is about. This is a peer group, an accountability group, and a group that needs to create equal value for one another. So that's the most important thing I find, is how you form your group. And you have to be very choosy about who comes to the group, and you have to be very choosy about who comes in later on, because the group will shift. We've had 3 people out of 6 that have come every year, and so each year there's been somebody new that's come, or it's somebody that didn't come last time that came the first time. So it's kind of shifts a little bit, and you want to keep some of the core members there. You can't just have a new group every year. Well, you could. Again, this is just my experience. You can do whatever the hell you want. But in my experience, it's been very foundational to have at least the majority of the group as the core founding members. And there's always going to be times that somebody can't make it. You know, we're all busy. Some of us have families and so on and so forth. But having said that, we plan this thing a year ahead of time. Like, we always do it around the same time. So we all know to adjust our schedules to make it happen. For the most part, we're all there. But bringing new people into the group can be risky in the sense that if everybody isn't comfortable with somebody new, then it has a chance to derail the normal ebb and flow of the group. And so just a word of caution that you have to be careful about bringing in new people. And the best way to do that is to really just vet them based on what everybody wants. And if there's somebody, honestly, if there's somebody in the group that is on the fence, it's probably just best to not have that person come. Everybody's got to be full on 100% with bringing somebody into the group. And you know, it's not always going to be perfect, but that's okay. These things are also learning experiences. I find the magic number for a group like this is between 4 and 6. Any smaller, it's you don't get the same amount of brain CPU, and any bigger than 6, then you might get too many minds involved. But that's just been my experience. Somebody else might have something else that maybe they'll tell you that 10's the magic number. But I found that between 4 and 6 is really the optimal number. Okay, so number 2 is the place. You want to have a place that is relatively exclusive. Not exclusive in like it's an expensive place or anything like that, but somewhere that is off the beaten path, somewhere that removes everybody from their comfort zone, but also from their place of work and their home, so that we can focus on the task at hand. And I'll talk about that in the next point more specifically. But the place is very important, and so for us it's been cabins. We've done a couple different cabins. We've also done camping trips. We did a canoe camping trip one year. We camped on a little island in Okanagan Lake. So that was an exclusive place where there was there was very few other distractions besides ourselves, and that's all we want, is to focus on our group. So if you have a cabin, or you're renting something like an Airbnb somewhere further out, it's also important to have the exclusivity of non-communication with the outside world. So Wi-Fi, cell phone reception. I know that in today's world it's hard to sometimes find places that don't have those things. And if you do, that's okay, but I would highly recommend making sure that everybody agrees that we're not going to be checking our phones, we're not going to be sending emails for the majority of the day. It's totally cool to set a time, like let's say in the morning or whenever, you know, set times where everybody can do that. Because, you know, realistically, if you're an entrepreneur or you're a family man or both, you need to check in. So that's okay, but it's really important to have it at set times so that when the activities of the group are happening, that we're all present and all focused and dedicating our 100% brain capacity to the task at hand. So that is super important to place. The third thing, which is very, very important and kind of brings all this together, is setting expectations for the group. So what you want to get out of the group, kind of setting your outcomes. What's an ideal outcome for each of us at the end of this session? And that could be, it could be anything you want. Making sure that everybody felt like they had enough time dedicated to their problem, that they felt like they came out with a lot of ideas and a new way to live, or kick an old habit, or end a bad relationship, or whatever it is. We've done this for a number of years now, and it's always been a variety of different things. But the really important thing with these groups is like the whole idea of it is that it's a collective group of minds dedicated to one person's problem. So usually that involves some kind of round table discussion where we start with a person and we spend the next hour solely on that person's thing, whatever that thing is. And so that usually starts with them explaining their position or their situation. And then that could be 20 minutes, half an hour of talking, and then going around the room and throwing ideas at that person. And then sometimes it gets to a point where it's just a conversation and people are just throwing in ideas at that person. And we've done this in a really organized way, and we've also done this in a real free flow way. Sometimes you can set up a camera and record, or just an audio mic to record the conversation. You can have a whiteboard where you're mapping ideas out. You can structure it however you like. But the really important thing here is to make sure that everybody gets a lot of value out of it. That's the whole purpose of it. So setting expectations is really key. Right at the beginning, maybe starting with a discussion to say, okay, what are we all looking to get out of this weekend or week or whatever it is, and writing those things down. And then having that goal in mind, you can get really specific and make a roadmap as to how you get there. And in previous years, we really made schedules. Okay, today this time is going to be so-and-so's problem, this time is going to be this person's, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, you know, it's a bunch of people getting together and having fun. We play board games when we're doing this. We play games like Agricola, Settlers of Catan, and card games, and we hang around and just shoot the shit. Really, we cook meals together. The whole idea is that we're there with a purpose to help each other become better, and that's why we do it. If you guys have found that helpful, please hit the subscribe button right now. Please leave your questions and comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences with these kinds of groups if you've done them, and any questions you might have, please leave them there. And check out my website, theurbanfarmer.co, where you've got links to my online course, my one-day workshop, my book, the free extras that comes with my book that has spreadsheets and stuff like that. And if you want to make a donation to the show, it's much appreciated and always welcome. It definitely allows me to buy time to do this kind of stuff. You can do that at theurbanfarmer.co/support. All right, thanks for watching.